Hello everybody, FNAF TV here, and welcome back to the Making Up series. We haven't done one of these in a while, and today we'll be doing Grimm Foxy, because what better time to make a Halloween character than in the beginning of summer. Alright, first let's talk about the needs we're going to be needing to actually make this plush. Of course, you've got scissors, you're going to be cutting some stuff up, and we've got multiple colors of fabric. There's yellow, orange, we've got gray, a sort of yellow, orange, or whatever, and of course black. This is just preference, but I'm gonna be using Sharpies just for his actual body. I'll be using the brown to cover his entire body, because most of the ones that I paint, like Phantom Freddy and Nightmare, they feel crusty and horrible when you're actually holding them, and they're just super uncomfortable. So I actually want this dude to actually feel soft. And of course, if we want colors that actually stand out, because Sharpies don't really pop out on plushes, we'll be using paint for that. First things first, you gotta cut out his eyes. It's super simple, I've already done it. What you basically do is you just cut around the edges of his eyes, and simple as ripping it off and getting rid of the inner eye, and just cutting it off like paper. It's super simple, it's super easy, and I probably should have recorded me doing it. Now you might ask why I cut out his eyes, and that's because right here, I have a photo of Grimm Foxy, and you can see that his eyes kind of like cave in, because you know the jack-os are kind of hollow. They have the jack-o'-lantern light coming in. So it's probably more easier to just cut out his eyes and then make it seem like, I don't know, the light is coming out. That's just my vision of it. You don't have to do that. You can always have the eyes just kind of puff out like the rest of the plushes. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this brown Sharpie here, and we're going to color it brown everything below the torso. So that means basically his entire bottom. We're not going to go above at least this part, because this part right here is going to be this hollow part where the light's going to come out. Alright, about 15 minutes later, and we're here. We have colored about a half of his bottom torso, which is brown. And it looks pretty good. I wouldn't think brown would mesh or cover up the red really good, but it totally did. It looks great. Now we're going to be doing this little hollow part that kind of shows off the light inside of him. And so I think what we're going to do is we're going to cut out this part and then add either some yellow, orange, or this kind of that one mesh of yellow and orange fabric. Alright, so we've cut out this part that will be the hollow point for Grimm Foxy here. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to fill it up and glue it in with some of this yellow-orange fabric, whatever color this is. I mean, if you really want to, you could use yellow. I mean, this is basically yellow, but if people want to be like, oh, that's orange, that's yellow, so we might as well just use the blend of both yellow and orange. For the outer little red part, we'll just cover this brown with the rest of his body later. Alright, we've got the fabric glued in. We used a yellow-orange type fabric, and I used a hot glue gun. Please be careful when using these, though. And also make sure you cut out like a perfect shape that will fit in here, like about like a half circle like this. And now we can finally get to doing his eyes. This looks pretty much like yellow, but we might as well use the same yellow-orange that we used for the chest part. And now the eyes have been glued on. Make sure that you cut these pretty well and they can fit pretty well in the sockets. I'm gonna let this dry out a little bit, then we can get on to coloring the rest of his body. A few hours and possible signs of arthritis later, and here we are. We've got his entire body colored brown. And if your brown Sharpie or whatever you're using ends up running out, I would highly recommend using Crayola markers, because for some reason they work so well on these things. Now before we color the rest of his head brown, I'm actually gonna paint in some of these withering spots right here. And I'm going to paint them yellow so it kind of fits with the whole. Because you see here, he's got some wither right there, and it's kind of hollow. It opens up to the light bulb inside of him. And now the paint has dried. And it doesn't look half bad. I might need to put another coat on it since this looks a little weird looking and crusty. So yeah, we might need to put another coat on, but we can do that later. So for now, we can finally get on to coloring his head. And a few minutes later, his entire head has been colored, and I have painted the hairs that he has, because it's way easier than using it with marker. Plus it kind of just, the color sticks on more. Now what I'm thinking that we should do is we should cut out a black fabric circle and put it on the other palm, so now it acts as his hook. And just like that, it's already glued on. Whenever you're putting it down, make sure that you glue down every single side of the circle so it at least looks good. Unfortunately, we won't be able to make the actual hook itself. I don't even know if it's possible to do that, unless I would cut out like a very, very slim fabric and just like hot glue it on here. Then again, it wouldn't really look good, but I don't know. I get the feeling about a lot of plush tubers who make Foxy customs, and you know, you see Froakies with a Foxy custom and doesn't have a hook on it. But I can understand why, because it's super difficult. So unfortunately, we will not be making the hook itself. But I guess this will be the stand-in for it. But if you have any recommendations of what I could do for the hook, please let me know in the comments. Now we only have 2 more steps left to completing him. Next up, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get some black pipe cleaners and we're gonna hot glue them onto his shoulders, I guess, so they act as whatever these things are, spikes. I don't know what they are. All right, I super glued them on and they have officially dried. I was only able to fit 1 pipe cleaner on this arm, but I was able to fit 2 on here, and overall they look pretty good. I feel like I didn't cut them too short or too long. And yeah, now we have 1 more step left. And it's super simple. Grimm Fox's endoskeleton legs are black, so we're just gonna color in the Plush's legs black as well. And just like that, Grimm Foxy has been completed. I've painted his endoskeleton feet black, and yeah, overall he turned out really good. I wish I could have used the actual hook instead of using this as a stand-in for it, but overall he looks great. And I just realized that I didn't really use the supplies from the beginning of the video, so I guess you only really need these ones. But if you really want to be different, like if you want to change his eye color to orange, and like the inside of him to be orange, you can always use the orange fabric or find some use for the gray. So really, overall, you really only need this stuff. And before I go, I've actually gathered a lot of extra FNAF plushes, so let's go check them out right quick, and maybe you guys can give me some suggestions of what I can make out of them. These are all the extra plushes I've gathered for customs. A few of them can be turned into pretty obvious characters, like I can make Dreadbear out of Nightmare Freddy or Phantom Mango out of Toy Foxy. But there's still some I'm not sure what I can turn them into, like this Glamrock Freddy here. Maybe if there's a different version of him in Security Breach when it comes out, I can turn him into whatever character there is, if there is going to be an extra Glamrock Freddy character. Or maybe I could use this extra ender to make the Stitch Wraith character from the Fazbear Frights books. There's not much I'm thinking for customs for Funtime Freddy. The only one that I can really think of is the 4th Closet Funtime Freddy, where he's black and white, but that's about it. Well, this has been the Grimm Foxy making of video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and thanks for watching, I guess.